Hello, hello, hello. Do apologize. Had many many startup issues here.
Hello. Do apologize.
But good afternoon. Once again, welcome to another weekly episode of the Tater-talks podcast, where I'm your host, Tater, and we are coming back to our series of what does gaming got to do with it. Once again, welcome back to Tater Talks, where mental health, spirituality, and gaming all rise up to the next level. Today, like I said, we're going to talk about continuing on with our series of what's gaming got to do with it. We're deep diving into the pros and cons, the good stuff, the bad stuff, the nitty and the gritty on what's on gaming life. Um, I want to today we're really going to be talking about the real stuff that nobody talks about enough. The downsides of gaming, both mentally and in our own relationships. We all love gaming. It's immersive, social, and can be very therapeutic. But when does it start to hurt us instead of help? Have you ever skipped sleep for a game? Have you ever argued with your partner over gaming habits? Or have you ever felt more comfortable talking to NPCs rather than real people? Yeah, we're going there today. So, of course, before we kick off our questions and whatnot for the chat in tonight's episode, I want to introduce some lovely people that we have brought in, as well as our standard panel that we typically have every single week. Starting with who am I going to pick first? You know what? Screw it. I'm going to go ahead and pick Zeph and his wonderful wife, Miss Mango. How are you guys doing this evening? You're muted on Discord. You're muted. There we
No,
go.
we're not.
Yeah.
We're doing good. Just feeding the baby.
Feed the baby, the cute baby.
Zeph Super Junior.
Yes, Super Junior. Okay.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. It's definitely been a week. Uh, Lots of getting things prepared for season 2 of our game and so many meetings. Uh, but hey, we're here. We're here. I made some homemade macaroni and cheese today. Got me my Sprite. Got me my juice. Like, we're good. We're set. Miss Mango, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah, how has your week been?
It's been all right. I'm going back to work next week.
Oh boy.
Hold on, I gotta turn this down. I'm getting off my maternity leave, so I'm trying to get everything done that I've been putting off for the last 11 weeks, saying that I would get done. Because now is the time to go back to work.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. I'm the same way. Like when I go on vacay, or if I'm taking an extended time away from just needing to work, no. It's like laundry folding. Doing the laundry takes 1 to 2 hours. Folding it takes 7 to 10 business days.
We have a basket full of clean laundry in our room right now that's been there for a week.
So I definitely.
Actually, I did all of my laundry.
Ooh. Sounds like somebody needs to step up to the plate and.
I washed all the laundry. Thank you very much. For once.
But no, we're definitely glad to have you, Miss Mango, appearing this evening with us.
Yeah.
I know we talk to you every now and then, but it's really nice for me to pick your brain this evening. So I do thank you for coming available. um, all right, and for our next wonderful people, we have Bella and we have Mr. Eternal over here, which is the spouse of Bella. How are you guys doing this evening?
I'm doing good. It's kind of been a rough week. A friend of age and I that I've had for a long time, his mother passed away, so
Mhm.
I've cleared my schedule for the most part, and been like, okay, I am here for you. Everyone grieves differently. I am here for whatever you need that I can do. So,
All right.
just trying to be there for him because it's a tough time period.
I can agree with that. Not like personally, like But like losing when you lose a loved one, you really want to start getting your mind off of it, so to speak.
And
Um,
his mom's been sick for as long as I've known him, and he's been my friend for 7, 8 years now, probably at least. So
About.
like we knew this was eventually gonna happen, but that doesn't make it any less hard sometimes. So it's just like some people can be prepared when you know that far in advance, but it still sucks when it happens.
no, of course, of course,
And I want to be there for my friend.
100%. Um, AJ, how you doing, man?
Doing all right. Doing all right.
Yeah,
Been a week, like Bella said. Yeah, happy to be getting towards the end of it. Still super busy. Still got a lot to do, but surviving,
yeah.
as they say.
One day at a time.
No, I get that. Like this week I've been getting summer plans ready to go because they're sending me off to, I want to say a total of 4 or 5 camps this summer. And so right now, phase one is logistics of confirming how many places we're actually going. And then step two is submitting my lesson plans, submitting all of my stuff that I'm doing for camp this year, and then meeting after meeting.
Tater, I hate to interrupt you, but for me, your words are cutting out almost every other word. Is that happening to anyone else? Because if it is, I want to
M-
make sure that we fix that for the stream.
What about
Yes.
now?
That is better.
Okay,
Much better.
it's probably because I'm not close enough to my mic.
Yes. Exactly. So I didn't want it to continue to happen, and then
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. So let's kind of get started here. Gaming addiction. Do you think it actually exists?
yes, uh, I definitely do. It's that was like a very off the you asked, I immediately answered. Like I think there's the stereotypical, the people have a hard time getting to work or getting anything done because they are so busy in their game. And I think that does happen to some people. I have tried really hard in my own life to be like, no, you still have to go to work. You still have to sleep. You need to make sure you eat. But I can easily see where some people take it too far. That's I can easily see. But
Okay, Zeph.
I plead the fifth.
Why not?
I don't know, babe. Do you think gaming is an addiction?
I think you can get addicted to anything.
Yeah. Although we have a
endorphin
friend.
highs.
I think that it can be an addiction.
Okay, at what point do you think it becomes an addiction?
The moment you use it to suffice a urge, or you get frustrated when you can't do it. When you let it rule your life, I guess is a good way to put it. Like you feel like it has to come before other priorities. I would know nothing about this, by the way.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Just secondhand experience here.
Yeah,
telling from
I'm speaking for a friend,
Oh, yeah.
No,
So-
I think when it becomes a ruling aspect, it like if it rules something about your life and it controls something in your life, it's an addiction.
True. Like there was a game that I met Age on called Ebony, and it was constantly like online, and you had cities that you had to defend, and at any time of day, even if you were sleeping, someone could be attacking you. And so like I'd get messages at 3 a.m. One of your cities is under attack. I have logged on to your account, but I need to go to sleep, so I need you to log on so that you can defend your own cities. And it's just like, so like you'd get those phone calls in the middle of the day, like when you're at work and you're like, oh, I need to defend my cities, but like, so it's just like you felt like you needed to drop everything for the game, and that's when it's it's that's definitely addiction at that point. You should be able to have your life and then have your games, and they should not like you should not be like, oh, I can't go to my mom's birthday because my cities are under attack, type thing.
That's a good one. I was thinking about this earlier this evening because I was just kind of going through things that we would discuss this evening.
Hmm.
And there have been times where I have let situations in my guild put me so bent out of shape that I'm not even enjoying the time I have with my daughter. Like I get so flustered about that and I'm more worried about that my own child's not getting my undivided attention, or that I'm more frustrated that I'm not giving her that love that she desires. And that there is, I think, a perfect example of it being a controlling addiction in that aspect. Whenever your loved ones suffer.
True.
Okay. Coming from a so to my knowledge, Zeph, of course, you're the gamer of the house, and then
Absolutely.
Miss Mango over here. Do you play any games or anything like that?
I mean, Pokemon Go.
Yeah. Okay, so
She doesn't even play that often anymore. She does some.
No,
she's
not
stepped out of the
really.
limelight.
I have another thing that's taken my attention.
No.
I wonder what that could be.
So coming from if you don't mind me asking, coming from an outside perspective, um, looking at Zeph, and how much he talks about the guild and whatnot. Do you agree with his statement on not being able to receive the communication or the attention that is requested?
In regards to the guild, yeah.
Yeah, like, okay, let me rephrase the question. Sometimes he'll consider guild matters over current situations of the household. Would that be correct?
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
say it.
What?
All the time.
Oh.
Yeah.
All the time. That's not just a yes. It's all the time.
Yeah.
He's being honest, though. That's what we
Yeah.
need on this podcast.
Yeah. I mean, hey.
I mean, I'm gonna take this out while I talk. Oh,
Oh, you hear yourself talking.
It's okay. Worst case scenario, I can mute her other profile. Okay, and she can talk through Zeph's mic.
Yeah, just go mute hers.
Okay.
We're sharing the pods.
Oh no, you're fine.
yeah. I was like, I cannot do this. I'm talking in the Twilight Zone, and my brain is somewhere else, and I'm trying to feed a baby, and I can't do this. And I was gonna say,
Good conversation, bro. Just,
I don't remember.
We
It
were
distracted me. What was the question?
we were talking about where Zeph takes. There are times when Zeph may take guild concerns over household concerns, and I was wanting to know your point of view on the getting the
Yes.
attention.
Him doing it all the time. I was gonna say, it brings him a lot of joy, though. It's something that he's good at and he's passionate about. So it's not surprising that he wants to do it all
Yeah.
the time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There ain't nothing wrong with having the dream, but like time management
Balancing your time.
to balance.
take the mic for a second. I'm taking the mic. I got a comment to make. It's not bad. So, a big problem with me is, and I'll just be outright straight with it, is I use gaming as an escape, which we talked about in our first episode. You know,
Yeah.
it is a place where I can throw the world on pause and stop worrying about things. And what becomes the negative aspect of this is I do it for everything. Me and her want to talk about finances. I get fed up so fast because we're in the hole right now because of our little black hole over here. You're not really in the hole, but you know, like it's very tight with everything we're going through. I'm going through a custody case with my ex-wife. You know, we got childcare kicking in because she's got to go back to work next week. And, you know, initially we were going to go to this place. It was like $350 a week. And that's $1,400 a month. Like, you know, that's a kidney payment is what I call it.
Yeah.
And so we found somebody and she's like, I'll do it for 200 a week. You know, it's more of an in-home thing. It's not a daycare style. She still works with kids and helps them learn, but it's still $200 a week. So we're financially strapped right now, you know, especially when, you know, paying child support, paying for attorneys, paying for my other attorneys. You know, it's just, it becomes hectic. So when we start talking about stuff like that, I get very flustered. I get very overwhelmed very easily because there's not a whole lot of wiggle room that we have.
Yeah.
And like anybody, I think change is hard.
Stressful.
We get and it's stressful because, you know, I've always used video games as a crutch. So when things get hard, I play video games. When I get mad at her, she gets mad at me and we're bickering and fighting. I play video games, you know?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it becomes it's like smoking a cigarette, you know, when you get irritated, you want that cigarette. You want that fix over here. You know, you want that fix. It's the same thing with gaming, you know? I want to take my mind off of things. Gaming is my cigarette.
Now I gotta say any names over here.
Not calling y'all out or anything, you know?
Oh my gosh.
It was just like the perfect time to just be like,
Yeah.
No. But I mean, that's a pretty accurate statement when you say, like, I use gaming to escape it. Unfortunately, I do it too well. Like in a negative way, like I do it too well.
No,
You want to say something? You got something to say about Daddy's gaming?
22 Witness News. The people want to know.
But back to you. I'm sorry, I cut her off hardcore there.
No.
No, and I think we just have a different way of dealing with things. Like I want to get the stressful things out of the way and get it taken care of, and you often need to do something else first and get your mind together, and I'm just like, let's get it done. And you're like, nope, I'm gonna go do this first.
No, it's raid night.
Sorry, gotta go. I will tell you something funny though. So this is crazy, and you got something to say now? Yep, there it is.
There we go.
The news. What's crazy is like my last marriage, I was quick to get angry and voice that anger. You know, I got divorced. She'll be back in a second. I got divorced.
Yeah.
And she gained total control because she got prime custody, sole custody of the child. I was still in Florida serving in the Air Force. And I was at the will of this woman. You know, if I wanted to talk to my kid, I had to appease her. You know, if I gave her lip, you know, she just wouldn't answer the phone calls. So I became very submissive to be able to see my kid. You know,
Yeah.
I stopped bringing forth confrontation. And then I just dealt with it by playing video games. Like I was depressed. I was down. You know, I'm in a state by myself with no family, nothing, no kid. I'm watching my kid grow up through a phone. So I became very submissive. Wouldn't you say that's true?
When?
After like with Nikita and
Oh, very.
I became so submissive. So now it's like natural to me to just want to go hide. You know, just hide. It gets hard, get hide.
I know. I'm always the one being like, let's go get her, and you're like, well, let's calm down.
Let's think about this for a minute here. So, what? So that has me a little bit interested here. What do you use as they call coping skills besides gaming to handle your stress?
What do you mean coping? I'm just kidding.
You. What do you use?
No, her?
No, I'm asking her.
Yeah, you.
What I use as coping skill to handle
Yeah, like what?
Stress?
Like what do you do when
clean, do chores,
Okay,
be productive.
okay.
I
Mhm.
wish that's how I could cope with stress. I wish.
Anger clean. I
get angry snaps all the time. This morning, the baby woke her up.
I slept comes up every 2 hours.
This time, why? I guess I'm not sleeping today.
I watch trash TV.
Okay.
Love me some 90 Day Fiance.
Okay, so we're talking like 90 Day Fiance, Jerry Springer back in the day, or Steve Wilkos.
All of it.
Yeah.
No. But I like to read. I don't know that I really have time for reading right now, but I would say angry cleaning and chores is my go-to.
Audiobooks.
Yeah.
Well, the Kindle's nice because I can hold it and flip the pages, but I can't focus on the audiobooks.
Not everyone's an audio.
Don't ask her the type of stuff she reads.
You want to go read a line from it?
Yeah, I can go.
Oh, yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
This look
God.
Yeah, that kind
familiar?
of stuff.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, I got you. I understand. I had Age read it too.
We obviously just got Onyx Storm, and it's like one of the very first chapters. There's already a nice little scene going on, and I was reading it.
And I just,
Steph was like, "What are you reading?" I was like, "Here you go."
and I'm like, this is what makes you satisfied. You don't need me.
Okay.
No. I was
There's
very
supposed to be benefits that come along with her reading that stuff.
exactly.
I got you in trouble already once. Don't do it again.
Yeah, but that's what I do. A lot of my life right now is obviously like just taking care of a baby. She needs things constantly, and
She
There you go.
depends on both of you.
So definitely, I can agree. Zeph was talking about, when it comes to financial troubles, when it comes to, the new cost of having a brand new kid. Like, I always thought the perfect birth control was just go down the formula aisle and take a look. You see, $40-$50 for a thing of. You're like, paycheck can't really do that. So I want to kind of switch the page just a little bit. Miss Bella, AJ, what are some, or AJ, you specifically, what are some coping skills that you also use when it comes to, stress? Do you also like video game, or focus on video gaming, or do you do like arts and crafts? What's your niche?
It all depends on what I'm stressed about.
Okay.
Most times it is video games. I'm gonna jump in a game, or I'm gonna jump into a voice chat with my friends and BS and chat while to relax. I've also been known to do yard work to release some stress. Pick things up, put things down, move things around.
Magic the Gathering.
Play Magic the Gathering. Yep.
Okay.
Although that's more stress inducing than
That's
stress taking away.
Okay.
Magic.
When we go play Magic the Gathering, we either play it online with our friends or we go in person and play with our friends. It is a stress relieving night.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite, I don't mean to cut you off. My favorite kind of scenario is, I love World of Warcraft. It's so stress relieving, but then you hear me in Zeph and Raid, If you could just watch the mechanics, maybe we could get something that, like literally like vein popping out.
We dog on you so much, man. Just kidding.
But for age, I feel like I'm more of the artsy crafts person.
Okay.
He does like to it's like I'll catch him doodling on occasion, but like he's more of the work with your hands type person to where if he's stressed, he's like I'm gonna go outside and I'm gonna work in the yard, or I'm gonna play video games because that is something he does with his hand, like he's playing. Or he'll be like, you know what, it's time. We're gonna have a barbecue and we're gonna roast chickens in our backyard. So it's just like he does have several activities
Yeah,
that he
cooking
does.
is definitely another escape of mine.
Yes, he loves to cook.
I'd also agree. Um, I'll just randomly see a recipe or like last couple of weeks ago, I really got in the mood to really make a red velvet cake. Just off of a whim, and it was actually very relaxing just to be able to do it myself. And you know, too many cooks in the kitchen. You're just like, no, this is mine. This is my little project.
Like I did it all myself.
Do you guys? Has anyone ever done like Lego building as a stress relief?
I have a
so,
friend that does.
so I use. So I'm gonna be honest. I am not really the biggest Lego fan because I've never dived into it. I think like one Christmas I got a Pirates of the Caribbean Black Pearl ship, Lego ship, and I built the ship in like 6 hours, but never got another Lego set or anything like that ever again.
So
So
I've always
we
been. Oh,
go ahead.
go ahead. No, you go ahead.
So we have a friend who has loved Legos for a long time, and I'm pretty sure. Can you confirm age? He had Legos before he started working at the Lego store, and
Yeah, no, he's been a big Lego fan for
he's got
99% of his life, I want to say.
he's got a whole room of stuff that he has built Legos. But now he works at a Lego store, so
Oh, okay.
Now he's got even more stuff.
yeah. But he spends his time doing that, and that's a stress relief for him. Just hiding away in his room, building this medieval castle that takes up a whole table, and it's just like when he sends his pictures, I'm like, oh my goodness, it's beautiful.
So
So
100%. Go ahead.
So, one thing I notice a lot, and when it talks about coping, I always do kind of go back to gaming, but I sit here all the time and I'm thinking about like, man, it would be cool. I see people with these Hogwarts Lego sets or these Star Wars Lego sets. They got the whole spill, Gringotts tank, everything, and it's like I would really love to get into that, but then I realize that it takes hours to do these things, and then they're expensive.
They're expensive.
We
Yep.
we've talked about getting one like serious Lego set, and it's the McLaren F1 car,
Hmm.
and it's like $250 on sale, and I'm like, I thought Magic the Gathering was expensive because I played Modern for the longest time, and I had to get out of that because
Holy. Yeah, no, that's expensive as fuck.
We
Yeah,
play
no.
Commander.
I love Commander too, but it's like a lot of these things cost so much money to truly dive into. Like
Yep.
even back when I was younger, building model rockets, where you go buy the little igniter engines, you put them together, you use glue.
Oh yeah.
Like I wanted to do that. I bought one time, never got it together because I was naive and didn't know what I was doing. But it's like it gets expensive. Everything gets expensive if you
Yep.
dive into it fully. So I'm over here like I spend 90% of my free time coping or whatever I'm doing in WoW.
Whatever you're doing.
Whatever I'm doing.
Whatever.
Ow.
It's WoW. It's WoW. But I spend more time in that when I'm at work. Like if my job's very convenient in most aspects. I throw on Hearthstone or something. I play games of Hearthstone on at work. Because I take care of what I need to take care of, and I have to be there for 4 or 5 hours on a location all day. There's not a lot going on, so just throw a game on and play it out.
Yeah,
Can Tater, do you mind if I ask a question? Because I just had a question come to my mind.
go ahead.
What is the difference? Like, do the people you are gaming with make a difference to you guys? Because let me preface this by saying, like, I do have games where I will. There's nights where I'm like, I need to be by myself, and I've got single player games that I can lose myself in. But then most of the time for me, gaming is about who I'm gaming with and who I'm spending time with. Like, I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna go spend time with Birdie tonight, or I'm gonna go spend time with Riley tonight, or and I'll just play whatever game they're playing. And so does that come into aspect for you guys as well, or is it more about the game itself?
To a degree. Um, so for me personally, where me and Zeph may also, I'm gonna let him answer too. But for me personally, where I handle a lot of administration tasks, for the guild, 9 times out of 10, the only time I can come available is either on a raid night when everybody is there, or B, when it's late at night and we've already knocked off all of our officer meetings. Um, Typically, the only people on are people of administration. So typically, I'm only running around with officers and whatnot. Now, I do want to run with guildies, and typically, the one day that I get to be able to run with other people that are not admins is on our Mythic Mondays, because I do want people to get to know each other. Like, we enforce our guildies to not be in cliques. So we also feel it's only fair that administration also doesn't become a clique.
Yeah.
Um, so we try to be as fair as possible on any and all of our rules. Although sometimes it will be hard because there's a lot that I have to do. Um,
Tater's a working horse.
um, Now I will say, if they catch us at proper times, so like right now, we're in the middle of the quote unquote off season of season 1 of the current expansion of World of Warcraft, meaning there's not a lot of content currently, because everybody has already done it all.
Yeah.
And so from now until the start of season 2, which is looking to be mid February, we are playing other games. Just like just yesterday, I downloaded Minecraft. I've never played Minecraft before. It's been out for 15 plus years. I don't know a single freaking thing about it. Okay. So I'm going to be playing with guildies and whatnot, trying to learn about Minecraft. Um, you guys actually got me into wanting to download Lockdown Protocol. I saw you guys playing it. I enjoyed it because I couldn't really get into Among Us, but the fact of it being a first person Among Us type game, I was into it because I could see eventually me and Zeph yelling at each other, going, you betrayed me and all this other stuff. Like I really got into it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Um, so it is varying degrees. Do I try to play with other people outside of my admin? Yes, whenever time actually allows it.
Yeah.
Zeph, do you have anything to caveat off of that?
Oh yeah, I was just making sure you're done. You and I are very well. You're not as bad at it. I'm very bad at talking over, like at the same time when someone else talks. So I just was being quiet.
Shut up.
I it does in some aspects. Like who I play with matters. Like when my brain is rushing through a lot of thoughts, and I've got a lot of stuff on my mind, Tater is really a good person to play with because he's good at just listening. He gives some input, but he's a good ear, right? Like, so whenever you want to truly dive into something random, Blizzard Secrets is his go-to thing in World of Warcraft. So we've gotten 5 or 6 secrets just this season alone, late night and stuff, just not worried about anything. He's over here quiet, reading up in the forums on what to do, and I'm like, yo, what are we doing, Tater? What are we doing? Can I kill everything in here? So we have a good time. When I get frustrated, I usually reach out to people who play more first-person shooters or stuff like that, where I can be like, hey, you want to play some Apex? You want to play
some zombies?
Some zombies in Call of Duty? Because I have a group of friends that'll do that. And then when I'm like high anxiety, I just need to be around people, right? Like, it doesn't have to be any individual type of person. I just need to listen to everyone else's problems for a little bit to come back down to reality.
At our expense.
At our expense?
Our expense.
Yes, at their expense.
Yeah.
At their expense.
Yeah.
Life.
Yeah, life. So
no, I mean that's real. I'm really happy that you're give the response. Like I'm more than happy to hear you out.
I know where you sleep. She knows where I sleep. That's more. I'm the one that won't wake up in the middle of the night. but yeah, I just need to be around people to listen, because it's like sometimes I think the world's ending. It's like, oh my God, everything's going wrong, and then I come in and I hear X, Y, and Z's going on with somebody else, and it brings me back to reality. Sometimes, it's just like, hey, you're not the only person going through a tough time right now. So,
but I will also say, it also depends on difficulty. So, like, if it's something that's like, we'll say a normal dungeon difficulty, I could run them with anybody and everybody. Okay, like if you're a new player, 9 times out of 10, I'll carry you because I'm wearing mythic gear, for God's sakes. Completely different story if you're trying to progress on like a 10 key, what's called a mythic 10 key, meaning it's like one of the hardest difficulties in the game. There's times where Zeph won't even take me with him because I can't do it. Like,
I'm over here like, Tater, come on, man. You're pulling like 600k DPS. What's going on?
When the requirement's like 1.2, or higher. So, like,
Yeah.
There's been times where even me and Zeph are at each other's throats because we can't, it depends on like I said, it depends on the difficulty.
No, that makes sense to me.
So that brings a concept up, and I'm going to point this one towards Tater because I know he'll be able to give a good answer, and then I'll let you guys answer. So what happens when gaming is your conduit to relieve stress, and then the people around you don't want to play with you because of a skill cap or whatever? How do you guys handle that?
Nut up or shut up. No, I'm kidding.
But seriously, like, you get on a game, you're like, hey, I want to hang out with my friends, I want to do X, Y, and Z, and then you come to me and say, hey, Zeph, you want to run a 10 key? And I'm like, no. Like, what? Like, how do you handle that rejection?
I go cry in the corner.
But seriously, though.
So, okay. From my purview, when Zeph tells me I can't do something because I've known him for so long, I get it. I'm not going to be able to do that because he knows the kind of play style I am. He knows if I'm trying to learn something. Being gone from just missing one single expansion took a lot of knowledge away from my class that I used to know.
Okay.
So when I came back to the game, I couldn't really do a lot of stuff with Zeph and them because I was still learning what came out.
Mhm.
But personally, there are times where I get irritated because I get it that I am learning and I get it that, I can't put out the damage like everybody wants me to. But it's one of those things of trial and error. You got to work with me.
Yeah.
Um I don't know. It's if it is somebody I know, so like I said, if it's with Zeph, I take it like a grain of salt because at the end of the day, he's really telling the truth and he's not trying to hurt my feelings. Coming from somebody brand new, like if I had just joined a brand new guild and you've never seen me play and you're just like, the elitist mindset as we like to label that,
Yeah.
I instantly get furious. Um, for instance, there is a website that literally tracks every single player's performance in Raid. It's called Warcraft Logs. A lot of guilds will not accept you if you don't do your parses correctly. And depending on your parses, you get graded a certain color. Um, and if you're not parsing purple and orange, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to get into a really high ranking guild. My parses are typically at the beginning of the season are gray. And then, go ahead.
One.
Yeah. Literally, yeah.
One parse.
Yeah. When I came back to the game, my parse was literally 1. But usually by mid-season to end, once I started really understanding my class and really understanding getting back into the work of things, I started parsing better.
Yeah.
The gist is people need to show little grace and work with people.
Yeah.
Hey Tater, how many mythic bosses have you killed this season?
We've done each week we typically kill 3. And we've done 4 weeks of mythic?
And we're pulling the 4th boss tomorrow night?
Yeah.
And that's talking with somebody who had a 1 for a parse at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
Just saying.
But it just comes to grow. It comes to show when you actually work with somebody, you got to give them a chance. Now, I will say, at the end of the day, they also have to be willing to put in work. We can give you the reason. I'll tell you like we tell our guildies. We can give you the resources. We can give you the weak auras. We can give you some add-ons that, can tell you a little bit things here and there. But at the end of the day, personal responsibility still is a factor. We can't play your character for you.
Exactly. So, addressing Tater, were you mostly done? Okay. So, addressing Zeph's question, I feel like I have a little bit different perspective because for Age and like Age, for example, has a friend that he's been friend with for, we say 20 years, but it's been longer than that at this point. Um, I've said it before. No, in 40 years, it will still be 20 years. But,
Yep.
um,
Don't know
so
what you're
like,
talking about. It's just been 20 years.
yep, it will always just be 20 years at this point. But, so they've been friends for a long time, and he will get on and game with them, and they will game almost every night of the week to where, and I play with them, but I can jump around and play different games with different people, different nights of the week. So I am always behind them on content. Um, I'm never as far as levels go. Um, I'm always behind because I don't play nearly every day. At one point, we were playing New World. Now we're playing Once Human. There's been different games over the years where this has happened, and they'll reach level requirements, and they'll be like, "Okay, we want to get you to this point in the game, but you're not there yet
Yeah.
for obvious reasons because I am not in the game as often." And so they'd be like, "Oh, we want to run this. You can't run that." And I don't get offended. They're my friends. They're pretty realistic on what level I am. I'm not gonna get offended by it. I just know I'm like, yeah, there's a reason that I'm lower level and that I have less guns. But that's because I was playing Among Us on Friday nights instead of playing.
That's self-inflicted.
Yes. So like, I don't personally get offended, but then again, I play with a lot of the same people to where they understand, like when I play those types of games, they understand that I'm not playing once human every single day, to where that's why I'm behind. And so I definitely do not get offended. Like every time we run a once human dungeon, Age, ESO, and Bree
Yeah.
always get like trump card, most DPS, whatever.
Yeah.
I get completed with teammates.
Yeah. No,
That's my accomplishment.
That's pretty much what it is right now for me. When I come and play with you guys is when I log off and get done with guild stuff. If I know Zeph and everybody else has gone to bed, and I come join you guys, y'all carry me through all that stuff too. So
Yeah.
like,
And
I want to caveat.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Finish up.
I was just gonna say, like, I don't get offended by things like that because I try to be realistic about where I am, and my friends are not rude about it. And if they were, I would shut down, and Age would help me fix it because that's part of our relationship.
So I'm going to caveat that for a second. Then I'm going to put myself on the hot seat with my wife.
Okay.
So caveat is,
boy,
and this is for you, Age.
Yep.
Yeah, Age.
Does it ever like hit you in a negative way, or maybe not negatively, but kind of like a soft spot, that she doesn't necessarily spend as much time playing games with you as she does with other people, or sporadically? Does that ever, like, it just in the back of your head? Like, I'm talking natural to you, so I want an honest answer from this. Like, does it ever just be like, well, why does she want to play that and not play with me?
So there's a specific answer to that. Yes, we had to sit down and have a conversation about it. There is now Monday nights are my game night with Bella. Like if we're not doing anything else that week together, Monday nights Bella's plays whatever I'm playing with me, which right now is Once Human. And that's when we power level her to catch up to where we are so that we can do stuff with her, or we'll teleport her around the map to get the things she needs so that she sort of plays catch up. But Monday nights is Once Human night. And I have also, on the flip side, I picked up Call of Duty and I'm starting to learn how to play Call of Duty so that I can play with her on Saturdays when she has a spot open for me. So there's a bit of a give and take there. We're also randomly for us it's different because we spent a lot of our relationship long distance.
Mm-hmm.
Like the first 12 years? No, 8, I don't know. We've been together for 14 or 15 years at this point. It's going to get to the point where it's going to be we've been together for 20 years and that's where the number's going to stop.
Well, I just ask these questions because I think about it a lot too, because the caveat to this is, my wife doesn't play video games a lot. And I don't know how many times I've told her, like, hey, I want you to play WoW, or something with me. I want you to get into gaming so we have a common ground to meet on.
It takes two.
That's a good game, actually. It Takes Two. But it's like, I used to love reading books. I used to love it. But then growing up, I ended up getting a math teacher for a stepmom for a while. And she forced books down my throat. And it was books that, it wasn't even like I got to pick the books. It was Sugar Creek Gang and Nancy Drew, which, don't get me wrong, some of them are good books. But it's like,
it was
you're
the
fact
for
2 hours.
It was the fact of you were forced on it.
Yes, it wasn't like, hey, I used to dive into the world of Magic Treehouse. We actually just bought my daughter a giant book set of Magic Treehouse because I love those books. I know they're kids' books, but they were awesome. I read the Harry Potter books partially. It was a little advanced for when I was reading them, but my school did this thing where you would read books and then you'd go on a computer and take a test.
Yep.
And depending on how
Yeah.
you scored on that test,
Accelerated reading.
yep, and you would get points. And at the end of the year, the 3 students with the highest points for your grade level would get a medal. And the way it worked is if you took a test on a book one year, you couldn't take it the next year, but you could take it the year after. So I went through and watched all the Harry Potter books or movies, all of them that were out. And I read parts of the books because the books and the movies kind of differentiate a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And the first year I took the test, I was fine. But I went back and did it again the third year, and I aced all my tests because I had watched movies and stuff. And I ended up walking out with the silver medal that year. Like, I loved it. But it got forced down me. So but back to the reading part, me and her don't like have this thing where like we both read a book together and then we gossip about what's happening in the book. We're not part of a book club. And most of the time when we hang out together, it's business of some sort. We got to get chores done. We got to take care of a baby. We got to clean the house. We got to put this together. We got to message this person about something. And then it's like, I don't mind watching TV, but at the end of the day, like, I got to want to watch TV to watch TV. It's got to be the drive. And there are times when it happens and I'll go a couple months and we'll literally watch TV every night for a couple months, especially in off times when things have died down. But here recently, like, I just want to play video games and she doesn't. So how do we, I don't know how well you guys will be able to answer this, but how do you cope? How do you bring coping to common grounds when you have very different interests with somebody? Whether it be a friend, your significant other, whoever it is that just has a polar opposite of what you enjoy. And how does that affect your relationship with them? Like, when you have a commonality with somebody, you can really bring it together, So I'm gonna let my go ahead.
Can I start?
Yeah,
You mind?
sure.
I feel like to answer that question, like especially if this is someone that you really care about, in this case it is your wife, but you did bring up like other people, like a friend or whatever. Then if this is someone that you care about, um, I feel like you should be able to find some sort of common ground, like you talked about the books. So Age and I also read books, and for example, I read the ACOTAR book series, and I loved them. And I knew it wasn't really his speed, but I wanted him to read them as well. But he is an avid book reader. So like as much as it wasn't his speed, he still listened to it because we do audiobooks because that way we can listen while we're driving or listen while we're like doing housework or whatever. That's what we do. He introduced me to audiobooks and it works for me. So we both listen. Um, and like so he listened to my book series and but then there are also book series that he'll be like, I want you to read this one. It's a little bit outside your speed that you normally listen to, but I think you'll still like it. And so like we do that to each other. So like we have found that commonality to where the thing is with that though, like we both enjoy reading. So but finding that commonality with someone and being like, okay, we have a friend that got into baking bread. So like if I wanted to, I could be like, okay, let's get together on this. Can you send me some of your recipes? I want to learn more. Like as much as it may not be your thing, you work on it to be more interested on it because of your partner or your friend that you want to encourage that. So the same thing with them. Like if you want her to get into gaming, we're talking about Mango right now, then you could like go through and not be like, oh, it has to be WoW. You have to play WoW with me. Maybe that's just not her type of game. Maybe you play It Takes Two or Bloons Tower Defense 6, something that is her speed, you know, to where there's still a compromise. That Age and I are huge about compromise, and we'll talk about things. We don't really fight. We discuss. We sit down and have discussions, and then Age and I are really good about hearing each other's point of view. So I'll say how I'm feeling and how I view things, and he'll be like, "Okay, I could see how you think that, but I disagree. This is how I am feeling and seeing things." And I could be like, "Okay, you're seeing it differently than I do." And that makes sense. And then we come to a compromise based on that. So that's just something that Age and I are good at, to where even like when I was playing COD like every single day, and he's like, "Babe, I also want to spend time with you. You are my wife. I want to spend time with you. Can we work something out?" And I'm like super addicted to COD right now. I'm like, "Yes,
But I gotta
you are
grind.
important.
I gotta
You are
grind
an
that skill.
important person to me. As much as I am addicted to this game right now, I am going to make sure I make time for you, because he is the most important person in my life." So like we've had those conversations, and then we found compromises that work for us.
I like how you full circled that really quick. So I'm gonna say that you said even though COD is my addiction, I'm laughing because you literally nailed a lot of nails on the head there when you were talking. We struggle at compromise in a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm just being honest, I'm putting our relationship on the fire on the fire right now. We do struggle at compromising. We both are very headstrong people, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I have been around the block. She's been around the block 4 more times than me, but I've been around the block. And
You calling me old? I'm a cradle robber, so.
This is a
Sorry, I'm laughing at the chat, not you.
which chat?
Tater chat.
I'm not even looking at Tater.
Apparently, I need to replace Yusef.
Oh.
That's what made me chuckle. I'm sorry.
I'm offended. We do struggle with some of the compromises and things. It becomes difficult to. It becomes difficult, especially when you don't have interest at all.
Mhm.
Like there is no interest that shares, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty broad. Like you're saying, we don't share any interests at
That's
all.
not what I said.
That is what you said.
Thank
Those
you.
were the words
Thank
that
you.
used.
You don't
It may not have been
share
what you meant.
any at all.
Yeah.
I was gonna say maybe it's not what you meant, but it is the words that came out of your mouth.
Yes, they are the words that came out. So let me rephrase them. Also, she's horrible about that. It gets me every time because I'll just talk very broadly. It happens. But our interests, we do share interests, right? Like we do enjoy watching movies. I'm not a huge person on trash TV, but I'd be lying if I said I wouldn't sit down and be like, "What's going on?"
That's what they all say.
I do that all the time. You know, we have a very refined palate, so we love food.
Mhm.
We love trying different foods. We love, exploring places and looking at houses that we can't afford.
Right? Hey, babe, it's only an $8 million mansion. Let's just, hey.
So where we live, you literally cross the street of our neighborhood area or our neighbor street. I call it the neighborhood street because it's like one street with a little branch off. And there's multi-million-dollar houses. We literally drove through every one of them puppies, and we're just like, man, wouldn't you love to live there?
Let's just go to the bank, man. Like, come on.
No, Age and I will pass. Sorry. Really quick. Age and I will pass the house, and I'll be like, "That's a very beautiful house. They just wouldn't mind giving it to us, right?"
Yeah,
Yes.
friend of the family.
But I've rubbed off my addiction for Pokemon. In general. I mean, she doesn't collect Pokemon cards or anything, or allow
Not
the
anymore.
collection of Pokemon cards. But she doesn't murder me every time I buy a plushie. And she there for a while. Like every weekend, we were going to play Pokemon Go. We'd go up to a park and walk around, especially when a raid event was going on. And I think when we had that, it was a lot easier
Mhm.
because we did have that time together that was shared. But because I am dr- driven in what I'm doing right now, and that is not an interest of hers, it
Mhm.
becomes very difficult. When my daughter's over here, you know, while she's active and around, she's the one playing video games. She's like, I'm going to play Spyro. And I just sit there and watch her, or she'll be like, hey, dad, I can't do this. And I'll help her do it really quick. And then she'll be like, okay, give it back. Like, um,
Miss
so,
Independent.
oh, I know,
Yeah.
right? So it becomes difficult. It becomes very difficult whenever what your drive to do is does not
Mhm.
match what the other person's drive to do is.
Well,
So
one of
So,
go
yeah.
ahead. Go ahead.
yep.
So one of the things to consider, and one of the things that Bella and I have done before, because Bella likes trashy TV. I hate trashy TV. Um, so, the term usually more used towards children and stuff, but parallel play as adults is super important as people in a couple and as friends. Like I do it, with my friends and everything, even in Discords, where we're not playing the same thing together, but we're still in the same space and we're sharing time while not doing exactly what the other person's doing and not even possibly communicating. Bella and I have sat in a room together. I'll
For hours.
be tinkering on my phone or working on like a computer or something. She'll just be sitting there playing on her phone. I mean, at one point we had in our living room before we got into computer gaming, we had two different PlayStations sitting side by side with two different TVs, playing completely separate games, but just because we were in the same room spending time together, it still counted as that connection. So even if you're not um, doing the exact same thing, it's important as a couple, as a team, as friends, even to get that that quote unquote playtime together. Like I mean, you could be playing WoW, and I don't know if she does any knitting or crocheting. She could be sitting next to you, or even on the bed somewhere near you, and just like doing something else, and that
We do that a
just
lot.
that experience still you're still getting your gaming time and she's getting to do something she enjoys, but you're doing it as a team together,
I mean,
and
most of my
that could
life
be a
right now
starting
though
point.
is taking care of a baby. Like
Yeah,
I don't have time to join you
yeah.
in games, when you're occupied, I am fully solo. Like
Hmm.
I don't know that I have time to dedicate to other things and
And a second point to what she says is so we're upstairs right now, in what I call the office guest room. As you can see, there's a bed over
With
here.
many
That's my
Pokemon
nap.
plushies.
And Pokemon plushies. Yes, that is my napping bed. When I say I'm going to take a nap, but we have two dogs. You
Hmm.
know, they spend the entire day kenneled up, and
while we're at work.
while we're at work,
We don't
recent
come up all
yeah, we don't lock them up all day, but they spend the entire day while we're at work locked up. We get home. Normally, I'm the kind of person where as soon as I get home, I'll hyperfixate on the things that need to get done right then and there. Usually, be dishes, get the trash together on trash night. Today I was bad. We had to go get my car and I got thrown off. But normally I knock out all my to dos, as she calls it. You're like I check boxes, so then I'm free. But then I come upstairs where my computer's at, and she's like, "Well, the dogs have been kenneled up all day. I need to give them time to stretch their legs, hang out, lay down, drink water, eat food, whatever it is that they need to do." And so our lifestyle separates us for the fairness of the household. And it's not like I know some people are like, "Well, move your desk downstairs or do this, that, and the other." Our house sucks when it comes to size. Our living room is the size of this room, if not actually. I think it's smaller than this room.
Mm.
Um, like our kitchen and living room are together, so we don't have a lot of space downstairs. There's a baby playpen for this little goober. Yeah, give a smile. But So it becomes difficult for us to just naturally be able to hang out in the same area. At one point, when we lived in our last location, I did move the computer into the living room. So, we're not physically engaged with each other all the time, but I'm sitting at my computer and she was on the couch watching trash TV or whatever she wanted to watch. And I didn't mind that. She minded it because I'm over here yelling at people while I'm raiding. She's like, dude, shut it. But it was nice because I could turn over and say, hey babe. She could walk by, I get a kiss. I was 0.25 seconds away from the kitchen. I could go get a drink really quick. Like it
Not
was
the
great.
chore, just like
Is he echoing? But yeah, so it's just one of those things. So we're working through it. We struggle with it sometimes, you know. And then another aspect to think about is how does it affect the relationships whenever like you commit to something that is not just you? Because like Call of Duty or Halo or any RPG game where you can pause it, you can stop in the middle of whatever you're doing or right after that match and then go do what you need to do and resume after. You go into a raid and there's 20 other people involved. You have a set window for things. It's like I feel obligated to do it because I'm running the thing, right? Like I'm the guy that runs the show.
Mm-hmm.
So it becomes really hard for me to justify, hey guys, I need y'all to stop for 30 minutes for me to go do X, Y, and Z, you know? So she does very good usually about accepting that aspect of things. She lets me have my windows that I need to be. Um, but I think it becomes difficult whenever I have something going on. I think she said that earlier. I don't know if she did, but Monday night's key night. Tuesday night we have raid. Wednesday night there's a second raid, and I usually bow out of that one because Thursday we have a podcast, and then Friday we have another raid. and it's like I was talking to Tater about this earlier. It's like my weeks go by so freaking fast. I get to work, I get home from work, I got to do something. Wednesdays I don't do stuff because I get my daughter on Wednesdays, and it's like I go pick her up, and then it's 7 o'clock. Well, the day's over.
Yeah.
So
Have you ever? So, do you have actual So, let me get my question here in my head. Knowing our guild events, because that's just the knowledge that we know. Do you ever have an actual designated days to where it is completely offline and spend time with the wifey?
I don't have designated. I would say we don't have a designated day, but I tend to be less active Wednesday nights after we drop y'all off. Sometimes I don't even get on. And you guys know this,
But that
Yeah.
depends.
but it depends.
Oftentimes things come up and you're like, I need to go de-stress
De-stress.
and go get on and do something, or we'll have planned to do something. And it's like, nope, this happened at work.
I'm checked.
I can't, do the thing that we planned.
Or the most notorious one I'm guilty of is I'm tired. I need to take a nap.
Oh my gosh.
And then I come
I'm
home.
like, here. How tired are you?
So that's a conversation though, right? Like here's a good way to look at it. It's like I go to work all day, and this is a conversation that me and her have had. Last night, I think we actually made some ground on the conversation. Like we
Okay.
got a little heated with each other, but it's like she sits at home right now every day, taking care of a baby. Not really sits, but she's at home every day, and all she does is a baby.
Okay, I'm gonna need you
But
to
I-
work on your wording of that. Yourself kicked in the ass.
So you all are seeing that maybe Zach has an issue with the way he words things.
Yeah.
She's
We
on
all have
vacation,
things
guys.
we can work on.
You've been on vacation for 6 months.
Yeah, she's been on
and-
vacation for 6 months, guys. I'm just kidding. But she's at home all day with the baby, right? And that's feeding, changing, pumping, entertaining, while also dealing with dogs, trying to clean, taking care of things that involve other people or other departments. Like today, she's trying to get titles for our car because they were out of state cars when we bought them. So she's doing
I
what I
feel that.
call mom things.
Yeah.
I call them the mom things. But I'm at work all day, and today is a perfect example. Like I was on fire today at work, constantly going. I got like it was a busy day at work today. Bless you. Got a third one? So I come home and I'm literally like, I'm tired. I've been up on ladders, I've been in ceilings, I've been, up and down flights of stairs 50 times. Like, I was very active today.
Mm-hmm.
So I come home tired. So where does the balance come for me wanting to get on a game and decompress for a little bit after a long day at work and her having a long day at home working with the baby?
It's
That
a really tough balance. I actually
Mhm.
have this conversation a lot with other people because I do not have kids. But for example, we talked about before the podcast that I do babysit for the lady who married Age and I. And then I do have friends as well who are stay-at-home mothers. And it's been a conversation throughout the years because I try to be a very empathetic person and I try to see things from all different sides. So I understand, a lot of times in these situations, the moms are at home taking care of the babies and the dads are at work um, making the money so that the babies can be taken care of, right? And so both sides have a lot of responsibilities and it becomes a struggle because dads get home and they've been working all day and they're exhausted. Moms have also been working all day, just it doesn't appear that they're working as hard because they're in the home. So there gets to be a lot of frustration because dad's been making money all day and then moms appear like they're not doing a whole lot. But then again, moms don't get lunch break. They don't get smoke breaks a lot of times if they smoke, whatever. I'm just saying that a guy who smokes at work would be able to have a smoke break. That was Am I wrong, Tater? You gave me a look. If you were at a job and you need a smoke break, would you be allowed to have a smoke break?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it is something that is allowed on company time. Excuse me, camera. Excuse. Hello. Okay, there it
Uh-oh.
goes. But so there becomes like a balance because a lot of times moms are eating when their childrens are eating, or so they're constantly working and they get so little time to themselves to where um like I know of another mother um and she's like, when my husband comes home, he gets his break, but then I don't, and I still take care of the kids 24/7 even when he's off work. And I was like, there's a balance there, you know, as much as he's tired when he gets home from work, maybe you just need a half hour to yourself to have time to shower, to take care of yourself for the day. And so finding that balance with your partner of, have you had any time to your day? Do you need to go take a poop and a shower for half an hour? Like, and not be responsible for a screaming child? Sometimes that's all. So finding that balance is the important part. And a lot of that stems from communication in my eyes because
So
people are getting frustrated.
I love that because that's actually kind of what I threw out there last night. Because, we have a lot of conversations where we get frustrated. It's like, we feel like we're both talking to brick walls, like the other person is not comprehending the emotion and the feeling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we hear what they're saying, but you don't always put yourself in their shoes. And I've told her, when I get home, if I can have 30 minutes, give myself a quick second to get my clothes off, drop my book bag off, go to the bathroom, get myself together. And then I'll take the baby for an hour, 2 hours, whatever it is you need to do. Go shower, go poop, go brush your teeth, go pump, do the things you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because nothing I do that is scheduled on this computer happens within 2 hours of me getting home. Well, the podcast does, but it's exactly the 2 hours. So it's
Yeah.
like, but Raid starts 3.5 hours after I get home or 4 hours after I get home. The only days where this kind of conflicts is on Fridays that I get my daughter from school. Then we're both engaged no matter what day, right? Like you're
Yeah.
going to be engaged until the kids go to bed. So, that's where it's like, let me get in the door. Because one of my things is like I walk in a door and the first thing that happened one time is she's like, would you feed the dogs and take them out? There wasn't even a greet, how was your day? It was just feed the dogs and take them out. And it bugged me, right? Like it's just something I personally did not like. And I vocalized that. And, you know, sometimes when you vocalize things, as you guys can see, I didn't come out the right way the first time. So, sometimes it comes out with a little bit more frustration. But we took a second and she's like, I understand that. I get that. And I respect that. And I will respect it. I'm going to let you get in the door before I just shove something down your throat. Now, there are going to be days where babies cried all day, where she had a bad day at work and her work is a toxic work environment. We're not going to talk about that. But, she's going to have bad days at work. And I'm going to get home before her. She's going to go pick up the child and she's going to be like, here is a child. I need a few minutes. And that's going to be okay, right? Like we're going to have to tag team. And I think it's been a little bit of an off balance right now because she has been home the whole time. So she's getting nonstop child. This child is like attached at the hip 24/7. So
With
there is
constant needs.
the constant needs. And I even told her, I'm like, once you go back to work, you might not hold the child when you get off work because you're gonna be like, I was gone from my baby all day. You
My baby.
So there could, and it's very diverse, right? And I told her, I do have a passion for gaming, right? And I understand that there is a lot of cons to what I do. Even if all I did was get on for 6 hours a week to raid, that is 6 hours of undevoted time where she cannot ask me for help. And that's a negative aspect to a relationship,
Yes.
It really is. 6 hours of just uninterrupted. She falls down. Like naturally I would leave raid if she fell down.
No, we're busy. We gotta do this.
GG's.
It's like my joke. I tell people, "Oh, you're about to become a dad? Well, you better be on your computer in the hospital." I don't make that, but that's just the joke. But like it is uninterrupted time, and it does make it more difficult for her. Because what if she does need to go poop? And the baby's screaming, And point for fathers here, if there's a father out there, and I might be the only one. I doubt it. I really highly doubt that. But moms connect with babies early on a lot more than dads do.
Oh yeah.
There is a genetic connection because you carry that in your womb. You feel it move the whole time. You're the one who struggles to push it out. Your body gets destroyed because of it. And then you become a cow for the child, like you literally do all these things where, you have these physical connections and emotional connections. And I told her before we had this child, I really struggle at the infant phase. Like I will hold the baby, I'll change diapers, but I don't feel a full connection as I do when that child starts crawling, talking, and walking. Whenever I start teaching this child how to be an adult and how to get through life and the things that matter. And then as soon as it's over, I tell her, I said, you got the first 3 years. It's all you. I got the next 18. I got her until she's done. Because you know what? When her car breaks down, and I laughed about this because she knows more about cars than I do. But normally, who does the child call when the car breaks down?
Yeah, the dad.
Especially with the dad.
Stereotypically the dad.
And then, she's getting bullied at school. Or she gets hurt. Sometimes mom gets the hurt because moms usually are the nurturing type. But,
the boyfriend. The boyfriend.
The boyfriend. Well, she's not going to bring her boyfriend around me because she won't have one. But
the secret boyfriend you don't know about that
Yeah.
mom knows about.
Exactly. But there's things where it's like, when she needs money, she's gonna come bat those eyelashes to me. Mommy's got resistance, So I feel like there is a shift in the way parenting works, and I'm not saying it's right because it's not necessarily right or fair, but in a lot of relationships, moms take on the front, and dads take on the back.
So, to kind of look from my point of view,
Yes, Tater.
Yes.
yes,
Tater Senior. Now I gotta put the senior on the end of that.
hell no. Okay. So with me, A, not being married, B, not having a child yet.
That you know of.
Yeah, that.
I'm just kidding.
Every man's ear.
I'm sorry.
But at least the knowledge that I have of the kids that I work with every year. Like, as I've said before, I work with the teenage level from ages 13 to 19 is typically the cutoff on special circumstances. The only time a 19-year-old is typically brought to camp is either A, they are special needs, or B, they literally just graduated high school like this past May, and that's typically the cutoff. Um, I deal with a lot of teenage angst.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Love them. So I can understand where Zeph is coming from on not being able to be attached from the beginning, but guaranteed when they approach the actual wanting to get to know things, learning about the world, and going through the trials and tribulations of life, that's where I know my strengths are going to be. Because it's what I do day to day is I talk to people that go through the relationship issues, that go through questioning their beliefs on is God real, or just their normal walk, whether it be school related or whatever. I'm still there for them. To caveat from the relationship aspect, everything good?
I went to go hold my daughter's hand, and she just pulled away from me.
She was asleep. You scared her.
To caveat from the relationship aspect, while yes, I am single at this current time, in my past relationships, I can also understand where it can be very difficult to have that parallel play as what AJ was talking about. Because a lot of my partners were not really into gaming like I am. Some of my partners, they actually just liked doom scrolling on their phones. Um, sure, they had some arts and crafts with them, but they weren't devoted into gaming like I am. Where at this point in time, where me and Sean, for instance, we had over 300 hours invested into Stardew Valley alone. That's what me and him did every single day, coming home from work. As soon as we boot up our PlayStations, Stardew Valley.
Sounds like you are in a relationship.
But when I was whenever I had my girlfriend at the time, or my fiance, or whoever it was, they really got jealous because I was hanging out with Sean more than I was hanging out with them. And you start trying to, when you have two coming at you, it gets very, very complicated because you're trying to be there for your best friend, but then you're also trying to be there for your partner. You know?
Compromise is important.
Now, what happens when all your best friends are going through stuff and they all need your time?
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I'm going through right now, and it is very difficult.
No,
But
I
like,
got a buddy of mine that lives in Bolivia, third world country. Makes pennies to the dollars compared to us, and it's back and forth. Our relationship is kind of one of those things where it pauses for a while. I think we talked about that last week a little bit. You know, and sometimes he's just like, "Yo, man, I think he just needs the." I use this word very, very loosely. Companionship, you know, having somebody to hang out with. And then there's times where he just doesn't need anyone. He doesn't want to be around anyone. And I get that, right? Like there's times.
mhm.
And then there's times
See,
when Tater go ahead.
that's the right word. The companionship is the right word. Don't use it loosely. He needs companionship, and
Yeah.
you're the one he turns to. It's fine. It's okay.
Sometimes, right? I won't over credit myself. He does it sometimes. Other times, I go to send him a message and realize we're not friends anymore. And he's gone on his break, as I call him. We go on little breakup breaks.
Mhm.
But for real, like, sometimes it's Tater. He's going through a lot and he's like, man, I just need your input. Or, you know, Wubsy is one of the other co-GMs there. Me and him are affiliated because of my sister, you know? And me and him can talk about her for hours and how many decisions she's making or what's going on. We ask each other for updates because neither one of us talk to her regularly or necessarily agree with everything.
It's
You
kind
know,
of like my
she's like,
mother. Anytime she comes up, it's like hot tea. It's hot ticket news.
so, but and then as a GM and as a raid leader, everybody and their cousins have questions. They want to talk. They have ideas, and it's okay for that. I love it. I love that people are open with us. Me and Tater tell them all the time, "Hey, you got something? Our DMs are open." So I want to engage with them and be like, "Hey, what you say matters, and what you say, we want to see if it's applicable." And I'll come home, and I don't even have to get on the game. This is how it gets sometimes. I don't have to get on the game, but I will walk in the door. I would walk in the door and I'd be in a Discord call, and she'd be like, "What are you doing?" So I've made it a point now where as soon as I pull up to the house, I'm like, "Hey guys, I'm home. I'm going to go in and talk to the wife." That way, I'm not discrediting her attention as soon as I walk in the door. You know, she would be on the phone a lot with a friend, close friend, whoever. And then she'd walk in the door and she'd be on the phone for another 15, 20 minutes after she walked in the door. So I'm like sitting downstairs waiting for her doing my thing, and she's just yapping away. And I'd be like, you gonna get off the phones? Like,
Well,
I get it.
that's when you
Go ahead.
have a conversation and you're like, hey, why don't we make it a thing where we walk in the door and we make sure that we talk to each other and we double, we're checking in. Like, how was your day? Even if it's
Mhm.
just a 5 minute conversation, that can be like, that can be something that like you two agree on in your relationship. Be like, we walk in the door, we're not on the phone with somebody else unless it's like an emergency from your mother or somebody. But like emergency situations are different, but like in general that could be like it's okay to have that type of communication with a partner and be like, okay, how is this going to work in our relationship? Do we want to just like nix the conversations and then we are greeting each other and we're checking in, because maybe that's the best time for you guys to check in with each other. That's in a relationship. I feel like there has to be compromises, whether you're in a relationship with a gamer or not. There have to be compromises in making time for each other on a daily basis, even if that is checking in with each other when you get home from work or, whatever. Um, because like when I get home from work, even if Age is in a Discord, I will walk in and he will mute himself. He'll be like, "Hey guys, I'll be back," and he'll mute himself, and then we'll talk for a few minutes. So like, and then like I'll give him a kiss, and then I'll put my stuff down, and whatever. And then there'll be times where I'll forget to, and he'll be like, "I have not been kissed yet."
I have not got. I'm the guilty one on that one, right? Well, we're both guilty because pause. I have to bring up a side
I
thing.
love how
Oh
she's
my
giving
God.
that look of, you sure?
Hold on.
He's
So,
got
so
several of those tonight.
Yeah.
oh yeah, I get death stares all the time. But that's the part of our love, right? Like, I keep my life on my toes. Okay?
Yeah.
Who initiates the kisses?
I initiate a lot. Eight,
Uh,
he does too. Actually, he comes and he'll like, especially if I'm gaming, he will just come and just randomly give me a peck on the forehead, and I love that.
or the top of the head. Yeah.
I'm good at the pecks on the forehead, but like I forget to do it a lot. But you know, I'm a firm believer that we're not promised tomorrow. We're not promised making it home from work. She's usually still in bed, at least for a few minutes after I leave in the morning right now.
For now.
For now. But, we used to make it a thing where we give each other a kiss before we go to work,
Mhm.
Mhm.
because, God forbid something happen. You don't want your last thing to just be like, love you, bye, out the door. And, you don't get that chance again. And I think we've gotten a little lax on it, and we're both guilty, right? Like that's not an
Oh yeah.
on one person kind of thing. Um, but even like when I come up the game, she'll be sitting on the couch watching TV or something, and I'll just walk right past her. I give her a peck on the forehead, and I give her a peck on the forehead. And I love you guys, and I always check. Do you guys need anything before I go devote my soul to the gaming? So, um, and sometimes I think when we talk about balancing, right? We've talked about a lot of balance tonight. You know, everyone's communication and the way it's given and the way it's received is different, right? And some of that can be worked on. Some of that's love language, just the way your love language works. And you know, I'm a firm. We talked about this last night too. It's like I ask her every time before I go play video games, do you need something? Or can I do something for you? And our biggest law is I don't just do it.
Okay.
You know, I say, hey, what do you need me to do? Or hey, what are we doing? What can I do for you? And that's another thing. I say, what can I do for you? You know, I don't mean it. It's a very general statement, but I don't mean it the way it sounds. But then she'll be like, it's not for me.
It's for us.
It's for
it's
us.
for Henley. It's for the
And
house.
I'm really bad about that, because I'm a very just, talk, trying to get the information. Sometimes it's short and I don't think about the way I word, but I'm like, maybe I should say, hey, what can I do for us before I go upstairs and game?
Or just like, what can what can I do before I lose my mind to this video game? Because
Yes.
sometimes that's what happens. I will be honest. Sometimes I am just like so absorbed that all I can see is this screen, and I
Mhm.
forget the outside world exists. So like, what can I do
Before I leave.
before I go lose my mind to this video game, and I have got these only video game goggles on.
The blinders are on.
Yeah.
But that's something I do try to do. And I'm trying to think of how to word this right. I talk a lot. I want to get her input on this. So, I offer those services, right? I say, hey, what can I do? What can I do for you? What can I do for what needs to be done? And, generic responses come from generic questions, I guess, sometimes.
Hmm.
And she'll be like, well, nothing needs to be done right now. Or everything needs to be done right now. You know?
Yeah.
Am I overstepping?
No.
Okay, cool. I just want to make sure. um, so I look to it as I'm making sure everything's good before I leave. And sometimes she's just like, well, you know what needs to get done. The baby needs to be fed. trash needs to be taken out, dogs need to be fed, X, Y, and Z, and or I know what the list of things that need to be done are done. So I come home and I ask, hey, what needs to be done? What do I need to do? And sometimes I think, well, it's not sometimes. She's strictly told me, I just want you to do it. I don't want to have to ask you to do something.
I
I
feel
kind of
that.
forget about that. That is something as a woman who has never had her own child, I forget about that point a lot. As from what I've seen from doom scrolling and conversations I've had with other mothers, since I am not a mom, it's a point that I've seen made a lot to where mothers in particular, their brains kind of start getting overloaded because they're remembering a lot of information that you may not know. Like, I bet you she knows exactly how many ounces she drank 4 hours ago, and you probably don't know. So there's a lot of information that is being stored in a woman's brain that, like, she probably knows how many exactly poopy diapers she's had today, to where, and these are things that are for this baby's health, right? And so she's keeping track of all these little things that she's never had to keep track of before. And then, so I've seen this point made that, like, when a mother, especially a new mom, is being asked, like, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? Sometimes they start getting overwhelmed because they're like, there's some things that just always need to be done. Um, Cleaning the bottles or just changing the baby's diaper. So, like, I've seen the complaint from outside sources before of women just
Not the only one.
no. So this is not just a you problem. Like, women, from what I've seen, it's just like, I've got 70 million things I'm dealing with. I'm remembering all this new information that is, I'm trying to keep this tiny human alive, and then I'm being asked what can be done, and it just feels overwhelming for a lot of women. And
I
so
mean,
it's just like,
I was on the phone, sorry, and there
go
was a
ahead.
meme that came up. It's like the list, what do you need me to do? And it's just like, open your eyes. Like, what do you mean? What do I need? Like, open your eyes, look around.
So
And yeah, I mean, we had just been talking, about that and how that was like, well, it feels like the guild and your game's a priority because you go and do those things first and you don't, like, look around and see what needs to be done, or you don't take that initiative at first, so then it feels like your attention is diverted to something else, and that feels like the priority.
Mm-hmm.
so I also wish to.
Y'all saw that? That was on camera. She hit me. Assault. Just kidding.
So I wish to definitely caveat
I didn't
off
see
of that.
anything.
Oh wow. What's up, Tater?
So I wish to caveat off of that, and then unfortunately we do have to start wrapping this up. So there's also two other flip sides to that, or two other angles to that coin. Um, for to the angle to look at is, if I have teenagers watching or anybody that's still in school, or about to go into college. How many times when the brand new school year starts and enrollment is currently processing, which parent do you go to on getting your social security number, get your birth certificate, make sure your classes are signed up, make sure your car insurance is paid, make sure that the car payment is actually made. Um, you start, just look at school enrollment alone of who do you go to when it comes to school supplies. Sure, dad pays, I wouldn't say
Yeah, we
this.
get daddy's wallet.
We get daddy, yeah, nine times out of 10 we get daddy's wallet, and then we go to Walmart with mom, because mom has the school supply list, mom has the immunization reports, mom has she knows where all of it is. You go ask your dad that, what does he say? Go ask your
Go
mother.
ask your mom.
Go ask your mom. Go ask mommy.
The other
But I
angle.
mean, it's a lot. Oh, so keep going.
No, go ahead, because I'm gonna flip the script.
Okay. I mean, that was exactly what I just said, right? I'm like, I have to think of everything all the time and keep track of everything and give you a list of things that you should be able to look at while also doing everything else.
So pause. I know you have another part. I just got to say this. So we used to be very good. Every Sunday we would sit down and be
Yeah,
like,
we used to be
we
good.
used to be good. We used to be very good. Every Sunday we would sit down and we would make a list of everything that needed to be done that week. And then we'd be like, okay, well, I got raid Tuesday night. So if we need to do something Tuesday, let's make it something that's easy and quick. And then Wednesdays we didn't have anything going on, so we could do a bigger project as long as it didn't interfere with our 3 hours with my daughter. And then Thursday, definitely nothing was going on at the time because I wasn't doing the podcast. I'm like, if we need a big project, something built, we're gonna tear up the garage to clean it up some. That's a good day to do it. And then Friday, I would come home and start cleaning, and then go to rain. And then Saturday, if we had things that we didn't want to do during the week, just because whatever, Saturday would be our washout project.
Yeah.
So we used to be good about that, and then baby happened. This little thing right here. Oh wait, that's the little thing right here.
That little square. All right.
So
You
continue,
guys,
Tater.
communicating is the key, though.
So here's where I'm going to flip the script. Partially because what Bella brought up earlier, but also to put it in my purview. Like I said, where I'm not a parent, I try to think of scenarios where I felt like that. Okay. When Sean passed away, everybody, I sent the news out. And I went to work the very next day. People thought I was insane for going to work the very next day. But the one question I kept on being asked when people came up to me were, "I'm so sorry. Is there anything I can do for you?" When it comes to grief, and you're the main person, when you're the main person that's handling all the arrangements, not just the family, like the whole family's dealing with grief, but I'm talking about the head honcho that's dealing with all the arrangements. So whether it be either the spouse that had their spouse pass away, whether it be the mom, like you were saying, Bella, your friend's mom passed away. If they're the one handling the arrangements, with me, Sean didn't really have family. I was his family, so I dealt with I dealt with what I could of the arrangements. You get asked that same question of, is there anything I can do for you? And you practically want to punch people in the face because you do look at everything and you're like, this. So while it's not the same scenario, I feel like it does present the same feeling from a grief aspect of trying to get that list in your head of, you're keeping track of everything. Do I have the death certificates? Do I have everything filed? Is the funeral properly paid for? Is the life insurance finally being submitted? Does the Social Security Department need to be notified? Does, you start running through all of that, and then when somebody says, "Is there anything I can do for you?" You're like, "What's there not to get done?"
Yes. And like I remember when my stepfather passed away, because that's the major death that I've had recently. I was 18, but so it's not recent. I haven't had a major death in my family that has affected me personally in a long time. But
Right.
like I remember when my stepfather passed away, my aunts, they just all showed up one day. But my mom wasn't expecting them. They just showed up. They were like, he just passed away. They showed up and just started cleaning, and they brought food, and they were like, we know there's a lot of things that have to happen, but you don't need to clean your house, and you don't need to cook. We can do those things for you. So it's just like that's how I view, like that's how I grew up, and I was just like, wow, that's what you're supposed to do when someone's grieving. And so I've taken that and ran with it my whole life. But no, we're getting off topic.
Well, we know, like that's the cool thing about this, right?
Yeah.
Like we are just talking, and at the end of the day, we're working through our thoughts, feelings, and hoping that we connect with people who are experiencing similar things. Like we're not here,
Mhm.
like we've changed. Like I said, we changed the script thing because we want things to go naturally. We want it to lead to new conversations because at the end of the day, we're not the only people going through the things that we're going through. There's someone out there who's going through it as well, or
Yeah.
who has struggled with it in the past. And there are couples out there. We have an insanely high divorce rate. Going
Yes.
around, and we have, like we said at the beginning, a lot of people who have addiction to gaming, and who walk through life with that addiction, and they don't put a parameters around themselves, or at least a thought into it on how to balance.
Hmm.
I'm guilty of it. Well, we've all been guilty of
Oh
it.
yes. Yes.
So and that's why I like this, because it's okay to go off topic. It is. It's 100% okay to go off topic. You know.
I do have a thought that may or may not help you guys. Like I know we were talking about like you asking her what needs to be done um before you start gaming. If there I was thinking about myself because ever since I've been on my antidepressants, my brain doesn't work the same. It's like a little bit more foggy, and it's sometimes harder for me to retrieve information. And but like I like the other effects that it has for me, so I just work around it. But I'm a lot more forgetful than I used to be, and but I recognize this, and so one thing that really helps me is like lists. So what popped into my mind was if there happens to be, if she could happen to think of like a list of things that would help her, to where if you could make sure they were checked off, make sure whatever it is, make sure the genie diaper genie is cleaned out, or make sure that the balls are put away. If even if it's like on a dry erase board, and
Honeydew list.
yes,
Me
and
too.
it's
Honeydew
maybe
list.
it's just simple things, and you just make sure those things are
Wait, wait,
checked
wait.
off.
Can't call it a honeydew list. Honeydew lists have bad connotations. It's just these are the priorities for today.
Those
Yeah,
honeydew lists are banned. Sorry.
They are banned.
You can't.
but
Banned.
Just
like
Zeffy do.
The Zeffy do list.
there you
Yes.
go.
my point is, if there's like a list of things that like if they were completed before he started gaming, that would make your life a little bit easier during those 6 hours that you're not supposed to bother him. Like if there was like a standard list and you could be like, oh yeah, I already took out the trash, that's already taken care of, I did that last night, I don't have to worry about that tonight. Like even if it's like a standard list where he could like look over it and be like, yes, this is done, this is done, this is done, I've done really well today. um then like all that stuff is already taken care of, and then he can be like, hey, is there anything else that you could think of? Like that way he's already checked off this list of things that he that could be done, to where you're not having to think of it off the top of your head every single day, is what I was thinking. If there could be like a standard list that
Dishes,
might
trash,
help.
litter box. Yes.
I'm just
Yeah,
thinking like
but like, right, but like what she's saying, like you're coming home, you're coming off your Discord call, dealing with your guild stuff, your mind is somewhere else, you're walking in the door, you're not looking at the trash, you're not looking in the litter box, you're not looking at what needs to get done, you're thinking about the thing you were just thinking about,
that's
you know?
me.
Yeah.
That's me. I get so lost that sometimes having a place to look and be like, "Oh, on this dry erase board, Age wrote, "Can you help me take the dog out because I have a busy schedule today? Can you make sure that he's taken out more often?" And I'd be like, "Oh, yes. Please. Now that I know that that's an issue, let me help with that." To where if it's so, I was just thinking to where if you didn't have to vocalize it, and maybe you make a checklist of everything and you just check off what you want done, to where you don't have to write it out and you can just check off and be like, please do this, and it's a dry erase board, and he can look and be like, oh, I see 3 check marks. That's where she wants help today. Got it. Now I don't even have to ask. I don't have to put that on her mind. She didn't have to take very much time. It doesn't take very much to do a check really fast. She can do that one-handed while she has the baby. I really need these bottles washed, please. You know, to where it's a way of communicating without communicating, like without verbally communicating. And then she's not feeling as overwhelmed and you're not having to ask as much. So that's in my head, that would work for me because I know how my brain is and how I just tend to get lost in the sauce. And then Age is like, what are you doing? I need help with this. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. Let me go help. So I was just like, that would help me. I don't know if it would help you, but possibly.
Well, I do apologize, guys. We are definitely over our time for the evening.
Okay.
However, if you would like, we can pick this conversation back up next week. Before, as we depart and sign off here, is there any last minute comments you guys would like to make based on how tonight was?
I think it went pretty good.
I
Okay.
think it went great.
Make him make the list
No
as
one-
desktop background.
Oh, geez, no. I can't do that one. I'm sorry. I have King Zeph as the background.
Okay.
I have King Zeph as the background.
Well, before we sign off, or as I sign off, I do have a video that I wanted to play for all the people out there that are watching with your couples. This is a video that I found. It's slam poetry, but the reason why I selected this is because this is, I guess, for Zeph's sake as well, where he has a problem talking about how describing things. There was a reason why you were selected for your partner. There's a reason why they care about you. And I found this video of this poetry that this guy is describing why he chose somebody to be their life partner. I'm going to share it here in Discord, and I'm also going to modify it here for the stream and whatnot. But
in and out again, Tater.
I'm gonna modify it to where everybody can see it properly. And then once the video's over, I'll play the outro music. But we're pretty much wrapped up here. Want to thank everybody for coming out this evening. As always, tune in next week every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for a wonderful Tater-talks podcast. And as always, we love you guys. Stand by for the video.
Tell her that I found my spine in her smile, that my chest turns into a ballroom every time my eyes lock in my heart does dances my body wishes it could. I wanted to tell her that I found music in her skin, and every time we touch, we compose symphonies, how every kiss is a good song to me. I wanted to tell her how jealous I get of every dress that hugs the curves of her body, because that's where I'm supposed to be. More suitable than any suit, hemmed and tailor-made to fit every part of her. But I must say, she really know how to make that dress look good. So imagine this bride-to-be, her and me, parallel hearts in perfect symmetry, yet still lost in our mystery. But that didn't matter to me as long as I was lost in her. But she said, baby, I'm afraid to fall for you, because a ring and a groom seem too good to be true. And I told her that a bud doesn't blossom overnight, so I'll be a sunrise. Show up every morning until something blooms. But she didn't care much for flowers or poetry, only the harmony of hearts, duets over solos, no BGVs, just her and me. She said, baby, swimming in this ocean deep, you'll end up sinking into the sea. Are you willing to drown for me? Willing to brave the tidal waves that this storm brings? But she doesn't know that my love is a holy ground, an anointed ark of sorts. So even if the storm swallows me whole, this sea won't make it Atlantis out of me, because you can't Titanic a heart that can walk on water. And if you still want a home, then we can plant a garden right here, a place where you can rest your roots, and I will endure every prick and thorn born from this ground, because love ain't always easy to hold on to, and we all come with our own scars. But even though I can't unpack all the wounds you carry, I can show you all the scars that I've tried to bury, all the pain that tried to bury me. And if loving you means some mornings I must wake to a war zone, to just know that I know what it is to bleed for something worth dying for. If loving you means walking through your mood swings like mine feels, then I'll be a dead man walking. If loving you means staring down the barrel of past failures and falls, then I'll be target practice so you can be bulletproof. And on days when you hate me for no reason, I'll still fight for you. When you neglect the garden we planted, I'll make sure the soil welcomes you back every time. Your roots will still fit here. And I know you ain't used to consistency, but you can be if you get used to me. What I'm trying to say is, there aren't many things I've ever wanted more than you. And I know you're not used to being valued. I know you're still holding on to broken promises you couldn't accept. But I'm trying to hold you like a promise kept. I'm trying to hold you like a wedding ring holds a vow, because for once, I want you to know what forever feels like. Okay, that was really great.
That was good.
Yeah.
I'm over here snapping my fingers. That was excellent.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much for watching the Tater Talks podcast, and have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Bye-bye.